This forbidden anime begins with Yoshia arriving with Kyuko in her house to tutor her. They are greeted by her mommy, Fumika, by the door. While Kyuko goes into her room to drop her bags, Fumika suddenly gets close to Yoshia to invite him inside and offer him a cup of tea. After a while of tutoring in her room, Kyuko complains she can no longer continue. Yoshia encourages her to hang in there and keep going. However, Kyuko keeps complaining to him, saying he's being too strict with her. She says she has been following everything he said and has been doing her best to study diligently. She tells him she wants to take a break and also wants to get a reward from Yoshia to get motivated. Being the kind tutor that he is, Yoshia lets her take a break, and as a reward, he starts petting her feral kitty cat until it starts drooling by the mouth. Kyuko is surprised that she is getting such an amazing reward and can't help herself from letting out some sweet cultural sounds. Yoshia tells her to control herself because they might get caught slacking off. However, Kyuko says she can't because she's already losing control of her kitty cat's reactions. Eventually, Kyuko can no longer hold herself back and takes out Yoshia's obedience tool. She goes on to fiddle with it, hoping to prepare it for domesticating her feral kitty cat. Since he knows she's ready, Yoshia lets Kyuko clean his obedience tool using her karaoke skills. Then, when the time is right, he gives her a small dose of his obedience serum. Outside the room, Fumika, Kyuko's mom, is on the floor, weak in the knees and trembling while practicing her self-reliance skills. She was supposed to bring Kyuko and Yoshia some snacks but found herself desperately trying to calm down her own kitty cat instead. That's because it suddenly went feral when she heard the cultural sounds coming from Kyuko's room. Inside the room, Yoshia uses his obedience tool on Kyuko's feral cat to try and domesticate it. Kyuko says that even though her cat has already started to recognize him as her owner, it's still a bit feral and needs to be trained more. So, Yoshia gets fiercer when using his obedient tool, and Kyuko slowly loses her mind. Then, eventually, when the time is right, Yoshia injects a substantial amount of his obedience serum into Kyuko's kitty cat. Kyuko's mind quickly blanks out for a few seconds as the serum slowly dissolves her kitty cat's feral nature. As they are cleaning up after their steamy tutorial session, Kyuko asks Yoshia how he knew they needed a tutor. Yoshia says he just found out about it by chance online. However, that is nothing more than a lie because everything that happened is all part of Yoshia's plan to destroy his sister's marriage and make her belong to him only. Kyuko then walks Yoshia out of the door and thanks him for helping her with her studies. Behind them by the kitchen, Fumika is watching with a smile on her face. It's as if she has been waiting all day for their tutorial session to end and for Yoshia to finally leave. Then, when Yoshia leaves, Fumika immediately tells Kyuko that she's going for a grocery run because she forgot to buy something. By the time she reaches the stairwell outside, she smiles after seeing that Yoshia is there waiting for her. She immediately gives him a hug and tells him he went a little too rough on Kyuko. Yoshia asks if she likes what she heard earlier, and blames for everything, saying it's all his fault because he let her hear everything. He then gives her cake a good kneading and fiddles with her feral kitty cat too. Yoshia then calls her out for failing to control herself and letting the culture take over her mind after seeing him domesticate Kyuko's kitty cat. Unable to hold herself back any longer, Fumika shows off her bouncy twin personalities and grooms Yoshia. In response, he pins her by the stairs so he can get a good grasp of her personality and pet her kitty cat, which is slowly becoming more and more feral. Fumika then confronts Yoshia about him accepting her friend Tuka's patronage lately. It seems she's a little jealous and feels as if he is being taken away from her. However, Yoshia quickly reassures her that the time they spend together is precious to him. Happy with what he said, Fumika says she feels the same and declares she'll do anything she can for him. After that, Yoshia takes out his obedience tool, and Fumika slowly loses her composure, knowing her feral kitty cat is about to get domesticated again. Fumika then gets on her knees to respectfully inspect and clean Yoshia's obedience tool using her karaoke skills. She somehow finds herself fixating on the fact that it's the very thing that successfully domesticated Kyuko's feral kitty cat earlier. Since she takes pride in her cleaning skills as a housewife, Fumika goes all out in cleaning Yoshia's obedience tool, even employing the personality sandwich cleaning technique on top of her karaoke skills. As a reward for all her efforts, Yoshia gives her a quick small dose of his obedience serum. After that, Yoshia stops holding back and goes on to use his clean obedience tool to slowly domesticate Fumika's feral kitty cat. Fumika is immediately overwhelmed at how proficient Yoshia is in domesticating feral cats and can't help but praise him. She admires how it can effectively attack from different angles with such precision. As for Yoshia, he simply says he's happy that he's able to meet her expectations. Fumika reveals she never intended for any of these things to happen at first. However, she simply lost control because he was just too cute for her to resist. She admits to spending money on other idol boys before, but she has already stopped because she's now loyal to him and him alone. She then says she can't tell anyone about what's happening between them, even her best friends, Tuka and Kyuko. As if it's what he's been wanting to hear all along, Yoshia smiles and tells Fumika she's the best. Overjoyed by his praise, Fumika loses control and tells Yoshia she wants his obedience serum. She tells him it's a safe day for them and begs him to go all out with the dosage. Surprisingly, she's still fixated with the idea that the very same obedience tool that domesticated Kyuko's feral kitty is about to do the same thing to her feral kitty cat too. Then, when the time is right, Yoshia unleashes a torrent of obedience serum, and Fumika has her mind go blank. Fumika tries to catch her breath and tells Yoshia he made a mess out of her again. However, to her surprise, Yoshia goes into overtime mode and she immediately couldn't believe it because he just gave her a hefty dose of his obedience serum. Unprepared, Fumika couldn't help but get overwhelmed by Yoshia's fierce use of his obedience tool. She says she has never heard her kitty cat make so much noise before. It doesn't take long for her to lose composure again and beg him to give her more of his obedience serum. Since he's not one to disappoint his patrons, Yoshia unleashes a tsunami of obedience serum, and Fumika's mind blanks out again. Once they are done, Fumika happily tells Yoshia to leave both Kyuko and Tuka to her. She says she'll do anything he wants for him, and Yoshia says he is always happy to accept her patronage. On his way back home, Yoshia bumps into his sister Kyuko by the elevator, who is wondering what she should do about the dating app that her friend Tuka installed on her phone. Kyuko greets Yoshia and tells him she won't be out for long and happily gives him the key to their apartment. While in the elevator, Kyuko suddenly realizes that the elevator came from upstairs and wonders what Yoshia was doing there. The thought quickly leaves Kyuko's mind, however, because she is too focused on asking Tuka how to cancel her account on the matchmaking app. It seems she no longer wants to keep receiving any more weird messages from it. Meanwhile, Yoshia goes to Kyuko's room and opens her drawers. He then takes one of her clothes and begins to sniff it passionately. He then swears that he's going to end her days with her husband. Upstairs, Tuka is watering her garden while thinking about the time Yoshia domesticated her feral kitty cat. She recalls him asking her a favor to manipulate Kyuko, and in exchange, he'll continue to give her more of the domestication she wants. Tuka happily agreed to his request as long as she could continue savoring his amazing obedience tool. It seems Tuka has already accepted the possibility that she could get serious with her relationship with Yoshia. Despite being already married, and Yoshia's adamantly warning her not to, Tuka couldn't stop herself from falling in love with Yoshia because of how he passionately domesticates her feral kitty cat. She recalls having her mind go blank every time he gives her a hefty dose of his obedience serum. Tuka's daydreaming eventually gets interrupted when Kyuko arrives with her phone. The troubled Kyuko shows her the phone and asks what she should do to stop receiving notifications from the dating app. Tuka inspects the phone and says it's because Kyuko didn't edit her settings correctly. Kyuko says she's not that good when it comes to such things and asks what she needs to do. Tuka smiles and asks her to come inside the house so she can teach her the configurations for the app. Happy that she'll finally be able to solve her problem, Kyuko thanks her friend and accepts her invitation to go inside her house. Tuka tells her that it's normal for people in the dating app to spam everyone with messages. She tells her that the trick is to meet someone easy to handle first. Kyuko reveals she has very little experience socializing with men, so she doesn't have any ideas on how to handle such situations. Surprised by what she heard, Tuka says it's fine and that she'll happily show her the ropes. She then encourages her to at least make one appointment in the matchmaking app. A somewhat bashful Kyuko then says that if there's one that is similar to what Tuka described to her before, then she could probably go for it. Tuka lets out an accomplished smile after hearing Kyuko's response. It's as if she has finally achieved the goal she has been working hard on for some time now.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.